Good morning, 7th grade. Today I would like to spend a couple of minutes with you reviewing the first chapters that we've read and give us a preview for the remainder of the book that we will be finishing this week. In the first couple of chapters, 1 and 2, we got the background and the setting to the story concerning the Enright family who is now living on the island of Curacao. Philip's father worked for the Shell Oil Company. And this brings us to a major conflict, namely that the German submarines were bombing the ships. This frightened Philip's mother, and so she badgered her father so that he finally broke down and made arrangements for them to sail back to the United States. We see that this probably wasn't the best of decisions, seeing as though the Germans were torpedoing most of the boats which were leaving from this area. Again, this is in World War II. The setting year for our book is 1942. In the next grouping of chapters, we have the account of Philip's ship being torpedoed. He's separated from his mother and finds himself on a raft with a black man named Timothy. It is at this point that we pointed out the fact that Philip, even before he was blinded, was blind. The education that Philip received at home had him being biased against people of color. And so this caused a conflict between Philip and Timothy. Again, Timothy's actions were only to take care of Philip. Timothy didn't have a problem with Philip. Rather, Philip had a problem with Timothy. And it was going to take a little while before Philip finally realized that Timothy's intentions were all true. In chapters 7 through 9, we find Timothy dragging the raft ashore on a small island which is surrounded by coral reefs. Unfortunately, they're in a location that probably will not permit them to be recognized and rescued. There's a point in time where our book even tells us that Timothy was thinking that they probably would never be rescued. Timothy helps Philip to be able to become accustomed to the island, even though he didn't have his eyesight. He helps him by teaching him how to work. He helps him to be able to maneuver and walk along the island. Timothy, again, only had Philip's best interests in mind. We see here at the end of these chapters that Philip became very rebellious. And finally, Timothy had enough, and he actually strikes the boy because of his disrespectful attitude. And then in the last two chapters that we read this week, we have a little bit of cultural background concerning Timothy. Timothy's culture had him believing about evil spirits, Jumbi. And Timothy's convinced that the cat is an evil spirit. And so Timothy manufactures a banner, a wooden placard, if you will, that they were going to be placing above their hut so that they would have no evil spirits or spells that would be cast around them. Also in these chapters, we see that there is a little bit of a conflict between Timothy and Philip because Philip feels that Timothy is leaving him alone. And of course, we know this wasn't the case, as it was discovered that Timothy was simply constructing this banner, this placard to be placed by their hut. From this point forward, class, what you're going to be reading about is change. There are going to be 4 major changes that we'll be reading about in chapters 12 through 19. The first major change is Philip's attitude will be totally respectful. We read, unfortunately, that Timothy had to strike Philip for his disrespect. And Philip now finally, the hard way, figures out that Timothy only has his best interests in mind. Number 2, Philip will shift from being cared for to being caretaker and provider. Philip is going to be figuring out and continue to be taught by Timothy how to take care of himself. However, number 3, as we see Timothy's health declining, more and more responsibility is going to be placed upon Philip. And also, number 4, there's going to be a hurricane. And because of this hurricane, 100% of the caretaker responsibilities are going to be placed upon Philip as he finds himself being alone. This week you'll be reading and listening to the remainder of the book. Again, under the K, you'll find posted those audio files which will assist you in finishing up that book. Again, I've pasted out for you day by day. However, you can work through it as much as you want. If you're so motivated and want to finish the book all on Monday, fine. But please have it completed by Friday, okay? The accompanying study guide sheets, again, are in your packet. There are sheets there for Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday as I have it paced out for you. However, if you choose to work ahead, you'll have to go into those folders and pull those packets out as you go through the chapters. I hope that you enjoy finishing up this book, and then on Friday we'll come back together again on video and we'll review the ending of the novel and talk about some of those themes. So as you're to the end of today's video, what I would like for you to do is to copy these 4 items that I have highlighted. Copy these items. Then paste them. Paste them in the response box, and then go to the bottom and click Submit. This will be recorded for an easy A. Thanks for doing that. Again, enjoy the remainder of the book, The K, and we'll talk again the end of the week. Have a great day.